Hi everyone. Time division multiplexing is the topic of this lecture. We know that multiplexing is an important method used in communication system. Multiplexing allows more and more number of signals to be communicated simultaneously over a single channel. So the utilization of bandwidth, a common bandwidth that accommodates more number of signals is excellent when we use multiplexing scheme. There are two major types of multiplexing techniques: frequency division multiplexing and time division multiplexing. Frequency division multiplexing is used in analog communication system, and time division multiplexing is generally used in digital communication system. So this lecture is all about digital, that is time division multiplexing, which is used in digital communication system. So to begin with, let's understand what the multiplexing is, as we have already discussed in the previous lecture. Let me start my pointer. Yes. So the multiplexing, as we know, is used when there are signals of lower bandwidth, and all signals which are having lower bandwidth, they are band limited to smaller range of frequencies, and all those multiple signals we want to communicate, we want to transmit over a media having higher bandwidth, and that higher bandwidth can be utilized, can be shared among all those signals having lower bandwidth. So number of signals are combined into one, and they are transmitted over a single link having greater bandwidth of the media than the communication nodes. And as I have mentioned, that there are two types of multiplexing techniques popularly used. One is FDM, frequency division multiplexing, and other one is TDM, which is called as time division multiplexing. Frequency division multiplexing, where a number of signals are transmitted at the same time. Time remains same for all the signals. Each source transfers its signal in allotted frequency range. So one entire bandwidth is divided in different frequency slots, and each message gets a different frequency slot. Suitable frequency gap is used between two adjacent signals to avoid overlapping. These are another important thing in frequency division multiplexing. There are two adjacent signals. They are all interlaced, interleaved rather, by certain value of frequency. So there will be always possibility that some interference may always happen between the two adjacent signals. So in order to avoid that, what is done between two channels, or rather between two frequency bands, a guard band is given so that it can prevent, it can protect against possible overlapping between the two adjacent signals. So number of signals are sent simultaneously on the same time, allocating separate frequency band or channel to each signal. We also can say that all frequencies, or all the signals rather, have different frequency allocation. Different frequency allocation mean different channels, we can say. Each message has one small channel width, but all messages are combined into one, and the common message is transmitted over a media which has much higher bandwidth than all communicating nodes, that the communicating messages. This is used in radio as well as TV transmission. The multiplexing is very popular, used in a number of applications like broadcast, TV, radio transmission, telephone, then DSL, digital subscriber link. Many applications are there, but TDM is used exclusively in digital applications, like as I mentioned, DSL for the internet connectivity, so that so many signals are transmitted through a single channel, and at the receiving end we can separate all those signals separately. So let's begin with the some more description. That this is a diagram where we can see that there are n channels, and n channels in a, this is a normal ordinary block diagram of multiplexing and demultiplexing. A typical flow where you can see there are n channels. All n channels are carrying n messages, and they are all multiplexed. And then we are saying 1 to n is basically one channel, one path. Multiplexer is a device which is sometimes called as n cross 1. N number of input, but the output is 1. Similarly, demux, that is demultiplexer, the input is 1, the output may be many. So many to 1 is the multiplexer, 1 to many is the demultiplexer. So there are n signals which were transmitted, which were merged and combined by multiplexer. Those n signals will be separated by the demultiplexer at the receiving end. That was a block diagram for general purpose multiplexing. Now let's begin with TDM. The lecture is all about TDM, time division multiplexing. TDM, it is used when data transmission rate of media is greater than the rate that of the source, and each signal is allocated a different time slot. There are two important things in the first point. One, the digital or the data transmission rate of the media, that is the channel, is much larger, much greater than that of source. What does it mean? There may be multiple sources having a different data rate, but all those individual data rates will be slower than the data rate of the media, which is being used commonly in the TDM scheme. What is another point? That each signal is allotted a different amount of time. That different amount of time is called as time slot. The slots are so small that the transmissions appear to be parallel. We will not be able to differentiate that which message actually is going. So there are n messages, and the time slot is so less that we think and we assume that all the messages are transmitted simultaneously. And it happens actually, because after every small slot, the messages will keep on rotating. So all messages will be covered in a very small amount of time. Then again rotation will take place. We will discuss in a block diagram. So it seems that the signals are transmitted in parallel manner only. The FDM, whereas in FDM all signals operate at same time with the different frequencies, but in TDM the signals operate with same frequency but at different times. This is the basic difference. In TDM, same frequency, time is divided. In FDM, frequency is divided, time is same. Time will be same for all the signals, but the frequency will be divided. Frequency will be shared. So this is what we can see the block diagram for TDM, where you look at there are messages S1, S2, S3 are the signals. There are n signals. So therefore there will be at least n slots, n time slots. Why? One message requires one time slot. How many such messages are there? We have signals are there, n signals are there. So we will have n number of slots. So what actually an arrangement made, we make a frame. We arrange a frame, and that frame slot, that time, the total time in a frame is actually the sum of all time slots of the signals in one round, in one rotation. Means one message has certain length, time duration. The entire time duration is not sent once. Small part, small fraction of that particular signal, say S1, will be allowed. Then that much same amount of S2 will be allowed, then S3 will be allowed, and S4 will be allowed. So when all the signals are covered, allocating same small time slot, it is called as one frame. Once one frame is over, then next frame, it means the repetition starts. It repeats. Again, signal S1, that small part, that the second part, second smallest part means the same value of time slot will be allowed to transmit, then S2, S3, and so on. So once all signals having their respective time slots, second, third, fourth, and so on, will be communicated, and then different frames will keep on transmitting, will keep on sending, will be sent over the same media, will be sent over the same channel. So this is the typical flow where this block, of course, if we can write, this block is actually, you should, we can write it's a mux, right? This block is actually your multiplexer. All right, this is a block representing multiplexer. Okay, let me choose the pointer again. This is a typical TDM system. This is a diagram, rather a block diagram, which represents a TDM system. Time division multiplexing. You look at here. Channel 1 means signal 1. It's not means each signal has certain frequency range and bandwidth. So we call it as channel 1. Channel 1 through channel 1, first signal, through channel 2, second signal, then third signal. So all these are, say, analog signals. They may be digital signals as well, but say they're all analog signals, right? Having certain time duration. And you can see here is a sampler like structure. There is a sampler means there is a commutator. You see here there's a commutator, and this commutator allows some small part of each signal, and it depends on the sampling rate, sampling frequency, how many samples are allowed per unit time. At that sampling time will be divided into 3 signals, and this is why we generate PAM signal. PAM signal. And what is the PAM signal? PAM is pulse amplitude modulated. What is pulse amplitude modulated? Whenever we get a particular pulse of a particular signal, that gets modulated. So you see here, PAM actually generates this type of sampled output from these signals. And then these are passed to PCM line, pulse code modulation. This block includes everything, because ultimately in TDM, digital signal is communicated. So here we have included also that natural signals are always in analog form. They need to be converted into digital. Then only it will be multiplex. So that part is also included in the diagram. So PAM signals are subjected to PCM, where quantization and encoding take place, and the signal after approximation is finally encoded into binary system, binary pattern like zeros and ones. So this is a binary digital output. Now this is sent to decoder, and we finally get PAM signal, and the PAM signal is subjected to this is the area, this is the receiving end where we are recovering the signal also. That the PAM signals are again after decoding, because it was passed to encoder. So first part it will be passed to decoder, then PAM will be generated, and using a sampler we will extract the signals through different channels. So this is a typical block diagram that how does the data flow in a TDM system is represented here. There are 2 main types of TDM system. One is synchronous and second is asynchronous. Asynchronous is also called as statistical. Right? In synchronous, as its name suggests, The time slots are pre-assigned and fixed. The time slot is even provided if the source is not ready with the data at this time and the slot is transmitted empty. Suppose there is no data, but time slot is fixed for a particular message. Even there is no more message now of that particular signal. There is no more message slot, but empty slot will be transmitted. It means the synchronization has been fixed that this particular slot has been reserved for S1. The next time slot has been reserved for S2. So even if there is no more message slot that remains left in S2, empty time slot will be communicated just to ensure good synchronization. And this is how the communication will be called as synchronous communication. And the synchronous communication, and it makes the system as synchronous TDM, that is synchronous time division multiplexing. It is used for multiplexing digitized voice stream. Digital voice streams are communicated using this synchronous TDM. Whereas asynchronous TDM, the slots are allocated dynamically depending on speed of source and their ready state. Whether the signal is ready to provide a particular message slot, and depending on the speed of source, that is speed of source means what is the rate of source by which it is generating its different message slots. So dynamically, it means when one of the symbol or one of the signal is not ready, then the time slot will be utilized for different message, which does not happen in synchronous one. So in asynchronous it happens. So why it is called as statistical? Because the arrangement is dynamic, and the dynamic assignment of time slot is made by certain criteria, and that criteria will be evaluated using statistical means, and then we'll find that yes, the next message slot is ready to be transmitted, so that can be assigned the time slot which is waiting for the next message slot. The allotment of time slot is not fixed. Allotment of time slot is made dynamically over the entire, the time slot or the entire frame. It dynamically allocates the time slots according to different input channels needs, and thus channel capacity is saved. So this is how we save actually the capacity of the channel, because in synchronous what we were doing, what do we do? Even if one message slot of a particular message is not ready, we will send an empty time slot. So when empty time slot travels, the utilization of channel capacity is hampered. We are not using, but we have reserved that particular time slot, and unnecessarily we are sending it without any message, that is going empty. So that is utilizing capacity of the channel. So if we use asynchronous, the channel capacity of course will be improved, because the allocation of time slot is being made dynamically. As we can see that this is a synchronous scheme, right, where it can be seen here that in a frame 4, when you see that in a message, first signal A means A is representing a message slot, another A is another message slot, because there will be variation, bit pattern will change. A means the same time slot will be allocated, right? So there are 4 A's. So if you see the first frame has transmitted A, B, C, D, A of first symbol, B of second symbol, C of third, and D of fourth. If you see the second frame, A is there, B is there. Now there is no more C in the third signal. So it goes empty, and there is D. Third frame, A is there is no more B, there is no more C, but D is there. So A and D and the place B and C, which are the message slots of signals 2 and 3, second and third signals, are communicating empty. Whereas the fourth one, you see that the fourth message slot is present only in the first signal, so only A is going, all other 3 time slots are empty in the last frame. This is synchronous. Synchronous, what is good thing about synchronous is synchronization will be maintained between input stream and output stream. Bit error rate will not be a problem. Bit error rate will be very minimum, will be less, much smaller than what asynchronous TDM offers, right? But in asynchronous, we can save this unused time slots we are unnecessarily sending in synchronous. As you can see that in asynchronous, A1, that is of course the first part of A, B1, B2 and C3, right? And C, D4, A1 and B2. So what you can see that in all the frames randomly from different, if you can see in the third frame or second frame, C was not there, but okay. So the first D4, A1, B2, what does it mean that in any part of message which remains to be, finally we sent all the things, then last frame, okay, only one slot is left, so that slot only be sent. But in other frames, all frames are occupied. There is no time slot which is empty. There is no time slot which is empty. It means the capacity of channel is utilized effectively. Is utilized very effectively in asynchronous. So let's discuss something more about TDM. It's working. The users are allowed the total available bandwidth on time sharing basis. The time is distributed. Bandwidth, available bandwidth is same, but the total time, time of transmission is shared, is distributed among the number of signals. Each signal is allotted a time slot on a round robin basis. I have told you that there is a commutator, there is a rotator kind of arrangement. Electronic rotator is a commutator. That's a sampler, you can say, which always allows some part of sample of each signal after certain interval. So therefore the scheme is round robin. The data flow of each input stream is divided into units, right? The entire message will be divided into number of units. So first time, first unit of first message, then second unit, first unit of second message, then first unit of third message and so on. So one unit may be bit, one byte. The length of unit may be bit, byte or even longer. One message slot is a unit, That unit length may be in, a few bits, byte or even several bytes or a block of few bytes. Each input unit is allocated an input time slot. During transmission, 1 unit of each input stream is allocated. 1 unit of each stream. One stream means a stream is for one signal. There is another signal having another stream. So first unit of all streams will be allocated, will be allowed to communicate. That is allotted one time slot periodically in a sequence on a rotation basis. This scheme is called as round robin. The popular name is round robin. In a round manner, in a rotational manner, that all the streams are allowing their different units. What is unit? One unit is one small message slot of a particular message stream or signal stream. So this is how the TDM works. You can see here that input stream, there are 4 streams you see here, A, B, C, D, and this is the receiving end, DMUX, this is the transmitting end. So you can see that A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D, like that they're all going. And as I have told you, it depends on whether it is synchronous or asynchronous. These message slots will vary depending on availability of how many units are there in each stream. So what is done? Each stream is divided into number of units. A unit from all the streams will be communicated, then the next unit, then the next unit, then the next unit. If there is no more unit in any of the message, then if it is synchronous, empty time slot will be communicated. If it is not synchronous, dynamically it will be given to the next possible, the message slot. So this is how all the streams get transmitted over the single channel, and this is the typical, the block diagram of TDM transmission, where number of streams can be communicated over a single channel, and then while demultiplexing at the receiver, we will separate all those streams in the separate lines, and those different streams will be received by different digital devices, right? If they are computers. If you want to convert into analog natural signals, then we can use the scheme called as DAC, that is digital to analog converter. The block DAC itself is not a device. It combines number of operations, sampling, decoding, right? Then quantization and all that. Both, ADC and DAC. So that part we are not discussing here. TDM is used widely in telephone and cellular networks, wireless communication system. Statistical TDM I talked about, which is asynchronous. The time slots are dynamically allocated to the slots according to the demand, according to the need of the channel. Each channel is representing one stream of source, one stream of message. There is a common channel. I'm not talking about that common channel. I'm talking about an individual channel. So you can see here that this is how the TDM frame. In each frame, the messages are transmitting. It allows the division of overall time domain, overall time value, the sampling time into a number of fixed length time slots. Each single frame is transmitted, which allows a number of time slots. How many time slots will be there in each frame? The number of messages. It will be equal to number of message streams, the maximum possible message streams. Suppose there are three sources, three message streams, so there will be definitely three time slots, and the combination of three time slots will be called as one frame. The sources A, B, C, D transmit data through a common medium. The signal from three sources divided into multiple frames, already explained. A frame is transmitted at a time that is composed of one unit of each source, all right? And then the units are entirely different from each other. The signal mixing is eliminated, okay? There is no mixing, there is no interference possible because different time slots are there, and a different time slot, it has been so synchronized that different time slot carrying, different time slot carries different part of different message slot of a stream of signal. When a frame gets transmitted to a particular time slot, the next frame uses the same channel to get transmitted. This process gets repeated, already explained that you can see frame 1, frame 2, and frame 3. So this is how it works. This is one typical flow diagram of a TDM system where we can see that there are, how do we, as I told you, that all the signals are passed through LPF, low pass filter, so that a particular band of signal, particular signal can be allowed, particular time duration can be allowed using LPF. Then it is passed through commutator. As I told you, commutator will allow a fixed time slot to each message stream, where these are the message streams, and those pulses, now signals are being obtained in the form of pulses because time domain signals are directly passed through LPF. A particular time slot of time domain signal will be allowed, and it is passed to commutator. So it's passing the signal in the form of pulses. Those pulses will be subjected to pulse amplitude modulator, which will convert the signal in the form of a stream of bits, and those stream of bits will be communicated, and there we'll use pulse amplitude demodulation. We'll be passing through different LPF having different the cutoff timing, and accordingly all different signals will be recovered. So this is the typical architecture of a TDM system. TDM uses a pulse amplitude modulation PAM in which each pulse holds some time slot, a small time slot, allowing maximum channel usage. We have already discussed that the channel usage is very good in the TDM. The low pass filters are anti-aliasing filters. We choose a low pass filter so that the aliasing effect is not there. Otherwise, if aliasing is there, that will cause overlapping between the two time slots or two message slots. So there must not be any aliasing, right? So we have to choose the low pass filter so that there is no there is no more aliasing. The very simple thing in the low pass filter is that we know that how to avoid the aliasing by making or keeping appropriate value of sampling rate and all that. So the output of LPF is then subjected to commutator. We have seen in the last block diagram. As per the rotation of commutator, the samples of data inputs are collected by it, the commutator, and the sampling frequency is the rate of rotation of the commutator, which is also called the sampling frequency of the system. This is some mathematical analysis related to sampling rate, where suppose there are n data inputs at the receiver end and decommutator, because decommutator is a commutator, but it will work in a reverse manner. We are calling it as a decommutator. So decommutator will separate the time division multiplexed signals at the receiving end. Commutator and decommutator must have same rotational speed. The sampling rate, the sampling frequency, sampling time must be same in both commutator and decommutator. We also can say that the commutator used at transmitter and receiver must have same rotational speed, otherwise there would be problem of poor synchronization. The different message slot will be received by the different channel at the receiving end. FM, say, is the maximum signal frequency. Fs is the sampling frequency. We all know that Nyquist theorem suggests that sampling frequency must be greater than or equal to twice of maximum modulating or maximum signal frequency. So the Nyquist theorem must be satisfied. Otherwise, there will be difficulties related to non-satisfaction of non-observance of sampling rate. There will be aliasing, there will be interference, possible interference when there is between the two symbols when the sampling rate is not properly maintained. So sampling frequency must be greater than double or twice of maximum signal frequency, where Ts is the time duration. How can we calculate Ts? Ts is the sampling time. We can calculate just by calculating reciprocal of frequency 1 by Fs. So we can also write, when we substitute in place of Fs to Fm, we can write Ts is less than or equal to 1 upon 2 Fm. Right? If you just inverse it, right, you just make it reciprocal, it will become 1 upon Fs. This will change. So the sampling interval must be less than or equal to twice of Fm. So this says, this final expression tells that what should be the time slot of each message slot. What should be the time slot allotted to each message slot? It depends on the sampling time, which will be distributed among the number of message slots which are coming from different stream of signals. So this sampling rate, the concept of sampling rate and sampling time and sampling frequency is very, very important while providing synchronization between transmitter and receiver and communicating a number of, that is multiple signals over a single channel effectively without any bit error rate, right? And suppose there are n input channels. There are n input channel, one sample is collected from each sample. Then what will happen if there are n samples? As I told you, that this Ts will be divided among n channels. So each one small, you can say message slot of one channel will get how much time? That is Ts divided by n. Ts divided by n. Because Ts is a sampling period, the time taken in one cycle. So that time will be divided by or divided among n number of channels. So say it's Ts is 100 microsecond and there are 10 channels. So 10 microsecond will be the duration for one message slot of a particular channel. The pulse frequency, how can we calculate the pulse frequency? We can just make it inverse. The time, one time. The pulse frequency means we have to know pulse interval. What will be pulse interval? It is Ts by n. How can we calculate frequency? That is 1 upon this. So n by Ts, which is n by n into Fs. So the pulse frequency will be n times Fs. So you can understand pulse frequency will be higher than the total frequency, because the entire frequency, one rotation, this will be divided into a number of pulses. The pulse frequency will be this. More number of pulses and n number of pulses will be covered in one rotation. This is the meaning. That a number of cycles. So suppose there is one cycle, but in one cycle there are n pulses. So the pulse frequency, pulses per unit, how many pulses per unit clock, per unit cycle will be n. So we can write pulse frequency as n times fs. The signal pulse per second, we can also call it as signal pulse per second, number of signal pulses per second, or we can also call it as signaling rate, and the signaling rate is equal to n into fs. So TDM is, the circuit design is very simple. Entire channel bandwidth is utilized. That is very good. Transmitting and receiving section must be properly synchronized. That has to be, made an important precaution while implementing TDM. There must be synchronization between transmitter and receiver. If there is no synchronization, the problem will be there in receiving end. We will assume that we are receiving a proper bits, but those will not be in, that is correct bits. So incorrect bits will be received if there is no synchronization. Bit error rate, BER, will increase if there is poor synchronization. So in TDM, the circuit is not difficult, circuit is not very complex, but the only thing which we have to take care in the TDM is synchronization. So, and there is slow narrowband fading, that is the problem. Slow narrowband fading. Fading is a problem, common problem, fading. So that can also affect the TDM channels and cause some signal distortion and signal quality to degrade. TDM is used mainly in digital communication system. I have already mentioned this statement in the beginning. It is mainly used in digital communication system, in cellular radio and in satellite system, in satellite communication, in all wireless satellite and digital communication. This TDM is very popularly used, time division multiplexing. So let's summarize this lecture. This lecture is about TDM, time division multiplexing. As we know that multiplexing is a very, very important method used in communication system that allows multiple signals which can be transmitted over a single channel. And multiple signals can be transmitted over a single channel. On what basis the multiple channels will utilize the same bandwidth, the same common channel. The same common channel, the bandwidth can be shared, the bandwidth can be distributed in time domain as well as in frequency domain. So when the signals, the stream of bits or the number of signals, multiple signals, they utilize the entire frequency and each signal gets one frequency slot, that is called as frequency division multiplexing. But since this lecture is all about time division multiplexing, so we have studied time division multiplexing architecture, typical flow diagram, and the working principle, that how the different stream of bits which are allocated different time slot. So there will be a sampling concept, sampling time, the sampling period will be allocated to all the different signals. So again, one signal will have different unit. One different unit will be one byte, one bit, few bytes, and that will be the length of unit. So each unit of a particular message will be allocated a particular time slot, and in that time slot, that corresponding message slot will be communicated. Then comes next message, the corresponding message slot will be communicated. So this is how the different time slots are allocated to different messages, and that in different time slots, all messages can communicate simultaneously. The sampling rate is so high that we will not differentiate that the one signal is transmitting, then the next signal is transmitting. It is so fast that we can recover, we can separate all the signals by using demultiplexer at the receiver at the same time, almost at the same time. It's almost in microsecond or nanosecond, depending on what the sampling frequency is, 1000 megahertz, 30 megahertz, 50 megahertz. What is the frequency? Accordingly, there will be gap. So gap will not be identified by us, and it seems that the communication is taking place parallel. There are two ways in which TDM happens. One is synchronous, second is asynchronous. In synchronous, what happens? The time slots are reserved for different messages. Now, suppose there are no more units left in a particular message, but even then, empty time slot will be sent because the time slot was reserved for a particular message just to ensure synchronization. So therefore, when there is a synchronization, even though there is no more message unit, but we are sending an empty time slot, Therefore, it is called as synchronous. But in asynchronous, we don't allow empty slot to be communicated. We will use the empty slot for next possible message units by dynamic allocation, by using some statistical criterion or method or parameter. We will use it dynamically. We will allot the time slot dynamically. So that is asynchronous, where the channel capacity usage or utilization becomes good, and the loss of channel capacity doesn't take place in the asynchronous. The TDM is very popularly used in all digital communication system, in cellular phone communication system, cellular mobile phone communication system, satellite communication system, and all digital communication system. The TDM is very popularly used as a multiplexing technique that allows high data rate. That too, the high data rate can be obtained utilizing the same channel bandwidth, same channel capacity. So that's all for this lecture. Thank you.